it's Betsy, and today we have a fun video that I'm super excited to be filming. I finally got in my Menagerie Cosmetics times Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner Serenity palette. Now, I pre-ordered this palette on May the 1st, and this palette retails for $38.95. Now, one thing is this palette is sold out right now, but I do know that they are planning on a June restock. So this brand is vegan and cruelty-free and has a 12-month shelf life. So this is what she looks like on the inside. Isn't she gorgeous? If you notice, I am in a different setup. I've changed a bunch of things around again. So it might take some getting used to. So we'll start off by swatching this baby, and then we will start doing some looks. So the first shade up is Tranquil. Oh, that's really pretty. It's like blue, but it shifts. It has a little bit of purple in it. That's really, really pretty. Then we have Fluttery. So that is like a true hot pink. Now, this is the first time I have used Menagerie Cosmetics as far as their eyeshadow formula goes. I do own their Arthurian blush palette, which I like. So next up is the shade Metamorphosis, which to me is like a true kind of Columbia blue. Okay, wipe those away. Then we have the shade Evolution. That's really pretty. I love a good green, y'all. That's really pretty. Then we have the shade Anew, which that's like a true purple purple. That's what Anew looks like. Monarch, that's really pretty. It's a true orange. Very, very pretty. Then we have Sunbeam. Now, one thing I will definitely say about these shimmers is they are, at least, like Tranquil isn't, but Evolution, Monarch, and Sunbeam so far are a little bit more crumbly. So you can see the texture, how there's like, yes, there you go. So you can see that there's some texture there, just to be aware. Then we have Imago, I think is how you say that. So that is a true cerulean blue. That's a pretty color. Then we have the shade Chrysalis. I like that. To me, that's like a good eggplant kind of color. Morpho. That's gorgeous. That one's super smooth. Then we have Cocoon, which again is a good green, but you can see where I went to swatch it, you see how there's like powder. And if you look on my finger, there is some too. I want people to be aware because like Menagerie, I wanted to wait for something super special to come out because I heard so much about the staining issue, and I mean, you can already tell. And then last but certainly not least is the shade Luna. No, that one didn't swatch the best. Let's swatch that again. So that is the shade Luna. So that is all 12 of the shades. So this palette is really, really pretty. I mean, it really is. And if you are a color lover like me, you can see. And I just swatched these, so I mean, I want people to understand like if they're staining, how to deal with it. But if you're a color lover like me and Annette, because Annette loves color, this might be a great palette for you. So we're gonna grab our eye tapes and we're going to play with some color. I'm excited. Even though I play with color all the time, you know. Now let's see, what do we want to do? I think I'm gonna go with greens for the first look because you know I can't resist a good green by any means. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a Spectrum B06 and we're gonna go into this shade right here, which is Luna. I do love this palette artwork, by the way. I love butterflies. I love bugs in general, which might surprise you because I'm not really one. Okay, so I don't like creepy crawly bugs, but like I love ladybugs, dragonflies, butterflies, the whole 9 yards. So hopefully that tells you something. That's going on beautifully though. Really pretty. That is a really pretty color. I really like that. I'm sure y'all are like, okay, we get it, Betsy. But yeah. And we're gonna do a 3 looks palette, 1 palette with this, because I think that that is where I'm kind of leaning going with a lot of palettes on my channel, unless they're, you know, a quad or something. Because I think that will help y'all decide if you need something or not, if that makes sense. Okay. I really like that. Okay. Very pretty green. Very, very pretty green. And I was nervous because I was like, I don't know, this isn't swatching the best. Well, she didn't swatch the best, but she looks pretty on the eyes. So next up, I'm gonna go into the deeper shade of green, which right here is the shade Cocoon. I love greens. They're my favorite to work with on my eyes. Ooh, that's pretty. That blends together really nicely too. Really nicely. Okay, that's a good thing. Perfect. Now I will say that these have quite a bit of kick up. If that bothers you, it doesn't bother me. But like, to me, a lot of times when there's more kick up, they blend better. So far, so good. I'm quite impressed with Menagerie's formula, at least from these 2 mattes. And to me, mattes can make or break a palette, other than if you've got, like, you can have phenomenal mattes and terrible shimmers and I'll hate a palette, but I guess the reverse is true. No, I can deal with terrible mattes because I'll grab a different palette if the shimmers are good. But the mattes so far are nice. Okay, so I like how that looks. So I'm thinking we might go a little different today. We're gonna go a little crazy. I'm gonna take the shade Chrysalis and we're gonna use that all over the lid. So I've got my Too Faced glitter glue, which is a favorite. I don't know if y'all can hear on camera, Stevie's down here sleeping and she's snoring. Little pig. I love that dog though. That's my baby. The boys the other day, whenever I left the house, it was either Saturday or Sunday when we were up here for work or doing magpies, she wouldn't quit crying when I left because I didn't bring her because the weather was terrible and we weren't going to be up here long. They put on one of my videos to keep her occupied and it made her happy. That's terrible. She is so rotten, but she's my baby. I joke with my children, I'm like, you do realize that I love her most out of all of us? And they always are, and they'll even joke that she's mom's favorite. But yeah, she's a good dog. And it's like every day she's getting older and it makes me so sad. That looks really pretty. Okay, so maybe I'm doing like a Joker eye. That's what it's very much reminding me of, like old school Joker, like Jack Nicholson Joker. Where it's like the true purple and from the Michael Keaton days. That's pretty though. That does look really good together. So, yeah. Let's finish this out. Okay. Okay, so I like how this looks. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go off camera and do the rest of my face, then we'll come back and do the lower lash line. So I'm back and I have the rest of my face on. I realized after the fact of putting on my lower lash line color that I didn't press record. So I'll just tell you what I did to finish off this look. So I used the shade Chrysalis, which is the shade that's all over my lid, under the lower lash line, and then I used the shade Tranquil in the inner corner. I really like how that came out. And for blush, I used the Arthurian blush palette from Menagerie. I used a mixture of Cloudberry and Blueberry on my cheeks. For my highlighter, I used the Alien Cosmetics Low Light palette in the shade Low Light, this purple shade right here. And for bronzer, I used the Rich Amber from, what was it? I have to think. Anastasia. And then on my lips, I have the Divine Nude Liquid Lipstick from Mama Pat and the Charmer eyeliner in my waterline. So that's the finished first look. We will come back tomorrow and do a second one. I'm back and I've got everything prepared. So we're gonna do the second look with the Serenity palette. This is such a pretty palette, y'all. I really am, so far, I'm really liking the colors. So I'm just gonna grab a Cleona blending brush and let me know how everything looks on y'all's end because I'm still getting my camera system set up. So I'm gonna go into the shade Metamorphosis, which is almost like, it's like a Columbia blue or lilac. So it's almost a mixture of a blue and a purple. And we're going to apply that, I can move that back so I'm not leaning down. That's part of it, is like figuring out where to put the mirror, moving things around. I like change, but it's a pain in the hiney. And I'm still working on the background setup. That's going to take, I'm sure, some time to get everything the way that I like. So I'm just blending that out, which as you can see, it's blending out great. And then the base I used is the NARS Smudge Proof or Budge Proof eye base in the shade Light. That one's almost empty, so I figured I would go ahead and try to finish that off. But yeah, I mean, these are blending pretty great. Color payoff is nice. But I figured I'd do a blue look. I wanted to do a blue look. Some days, I don't know. I prefer, not always, but for the most part, I love a good monochromatic look. It's just something I personally enjoy. Okay, so that's all blended in. That's actually a good pastel blue, which again is something difficult to find for my complexion. Now I'm gonna go into the Morphe JH49, and we're gonna go into the shade Imago, this bright cerulean blue, and we're gonna add that to the crease. See how pretty that is? And this is a tiny little brush, but it's a good little blending brush to add some brightness, but I can also keep it tight in there so I'm not blowing out that brightness too far. Those colors do work really well together too. There we go. Do the other side now. But yeah, I mean, there's so many creative things you can do with this palette. I'm just not that creative. At least not with, like as I said, I prefer a good, I'm trying to play with color more. I mean, I do lots of colorful looks, but I am still getting more comfortable using more like contrasting colors, I guess, than just the regular colors, you know, like doing a monochromatic look or things that go next to each other. So that way. Okay, that looks really pretty. Really pretty. Okay, I think I'm gonna take this same brush and I'm gonna go into a new, which is that purple shade. I'm gonna see if that will add a little bit more depth just to the very, oh yeah, that works. See how that just adds a little bit more depth to that very outer corner? So I do wish that this had a little bit more darkness to it. I feel like we're kind of missing the depth a little bit. Like a lot of things, even though there's a few light colors, but a lot of things are pretty mid-toned, which isn't a bad thing. I'm just saying that I like to have something dark to blend into. So, Too Faced glitter glue, just like normal. This is a Cleona flat brush, which any flat brush that's kind of shaped like this, when you pat out your glitter glue, is absolutely amazing as well for shimmers. But this doesn't have to be like an expensive brush for this. So I'm gonna go into the shade Morpho, that bright blue down there. So I'm excited for that. That's really pretty. Like you could do a really pretty simple eye look with just Morpho and Imago. So I'm not sure if I need to face my camera down a little bit more because I keep wanting to go off frame. But again, moving things around, and part of that is playing with where everything's at and seeing what works. That's so pretty though. I love that color. I feel like that is a unique kind of color to my collection, which is definitely something that I like. But I mean, and that's the thing about it is, you know, even though I'm like, I wish that this had something a little bit darker in it, that doesn't mean that the palette is bad. It's just when you got 12 shades, sometimes you're a little limited, and the collaborator is who's gonna get to pick, you know, colors based off of their own personal preference. And Annette really does a lot of beautiful, beautiful, bright looks. Okay, so that's the finished upper part of the eye. I'm gonna go off camera, do the rest of my face. We'll come back and do the lower lash line. So I'm back and I have the rest of my face on. I used my Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm face palette for blush, bronzer, and highlight. As you can see, I have really went in on this bronzer. It is a beautiful bronzer. Then on my lips, I used the Aura lip gloss from Lunar Beauty. Isn't that a beautiful nude? I absolutely love it. And then last but not least, I have the Showdown Gel Cream Eyeliner from ColourPop in my waterline. So let's finish this look out. So I mean, this is gonna be pretty simple. I'm gonna use that same Morphe and Jaclyn Hill brush in the shade Imago, which is that cerulean blue shade. And we're just going to apply that under my eyes. Isn't that a pretty color? I like this shade. There we go. Now I'm gonna take that original Cleona, oh no, that's this Cleona brush that had Metamorphosis on it, and just go under the edge. See how I'm keeping that brush pointed up? Because I don't want to bring the shadow any further down, so keeping that brush up, I'm blending out the bottom edge without bringing it down. Now we just need a little bit of inner corner highlight, which we're gonna use the shade Tranquil again. I think that that shade is like well, I mean, that's the only shade that I think is a true inner corner highlight, but I like that shade anyway. So this is just a Sigma pencil brush in E30. And we're just going to apply that there. Isn't that pretty? Very, very pretty. Okay, so this is look number 2 done. We'll be back tomorrow to do number 3. The third and final look using the Serenity palette, which is a collaboration between Annette's Makeup Corner and Menagerie Cosmetics. So I have in my hand a BK Beauty 206. I'm gonna go into that pink shade, which is called Fluttery, right here. And that's what we're going to start with in the front portion of our eye today. I wanna play with some bold color. We'll see how it goes. And I did prime my eyes again with the NARS Budge Proof, or is it Smudge Proof? Smudge Proof Tinted Eyeshadow Base in Light. As I said before, it's a good base. It isn't my favorite, but it gets the job done. See how pretty that is? I like that. Okay. There we go. So there's color number 1, which I think looks pretty. So now I'm going to use, this is a BK Beauty 202, and I'm gonna go into that purple shade called Anew. Stevie, why are you whining, honeys? You hear her? She wants all the attention. I'll tell you that. That is the most rotten dog you will ever find. But she talks. I mean, she'll tell you what she's feeling, and it's up to you to listen. Okay, see those colors blend together really well. I like how that looks. Make sure it's got full pigmentation. Okay, now I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. She wants a snack. I can tell you what it is. It's funny because she's like, she loves attention and stuff like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, but since bringing her up to the office and stuff, she is such a different little doggy. Now I'm just gonna take, this is a clean ColourPop E15, and I'm just gonna go over the edges to make sure everything's nice and blended and smooth. But yeah, since coming up here, she's such a different little doggy. She's so much more vocal, almost, I guess is the best way to say it, than she was previously. I'm gonna take that BK Beauty 206 and I'm gonna go back into the shade Fluttery, that pink shade, just to make sure the blend between the two looks good. Because that's part of it, is you gotta make sure. But she's always been a talker. But she has gotten so whiny. Like, if we try, we can't leave the house without her. And if not, she cries the entire time. Too Faced glitter glue. It's quite sad. Quite sad. But it's okay, because we still love her. You would think that we left her all the time, but we don't. She's just like, she's making sure she doesn't get forgotten. But yeah, she's a vocal dog. You know, some dogs are not. So, and I'm gonna go in with the shade Monarch, that beautiful orange shimmer. And we're gonna apply that all over the lid, because we're going for high contrast today. Isn't that a pretty color? That is such a pretty shade. And a good orange shimmer is actually, like, whenever I bought the Circo Loco from Natasha Denona, like trying to find like a true orange shimmer that was in the palette was almost impossible. But this one is really pretty. And I have a lot of texture to my eyelids, so, you know, the younger you are, I'm sure the better this will look. The thing, once you start aging, isn't that the fun? But yeah. That's pretty though. And I'm just smoothing it on, making sure there's no gaps. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab that BK Beauty 202 and I'm going to go over the purple edge where I applied the orange, just to make sure everything's kind of smooth. Well, not kind of smooth, but is smooth. Gonna go over just the outer edge of where that orange is. And then I'm going to take my BK Beauty 206 and do the same thing for the front. Okay, so I like how that looks. Now I'm gonna go off camera. I'm gonna do the rest of my face and then we'll come back and do the lower lash line and talk about my thoughts on this palette. When I have the rest of my face on, I used the Kaleidos. This is from the new collection. This is the Cactus Flower lip clay. I really like this formula. It feels good on the lips. It has a matte look, but it's not like dry down. Like if you look, it doesn't like look creepy and creepy in my eyes. For my bronzer, I used the Patrick Ta She's So Sculpted, or She's Sculpted. Doesn't show up too much on my skin. Then I used the Ray Ryder Space Age No. 3 highlight. Isn't that pretty? For blush, I used the Melt. This is from the Royal Blush Collection, and this is the Buzzkill. So pretty. And then I used the ColourPop BFF Gel Cream Eyeliner in Insomniac in my waterline, which is just a pink. Because we're gonna keep it pretty simple for the rest of the eye look, I think. So I'm gonna go back in with, this is the BK Beauty 205, and I'm gonna go back in to Fluttery, and we're going to apply that pink underneath. Because I think I want more pink than purple with this look. Okay, so I need to remember not to bend down. It just got everything set up because as you can see, I moved everything around again. So getting the new filming stuff set up is going to take some time. So this is a Lunar Beauty. This is stained on the top, LB1. And I'm just going to use that to really blend that shade out. But I like that color. I think this looks really pretty. And then last but not least, we're gonna apply an inner color corner, and we're gonna go into that shade Sunbeam, that really bright yellow metallic. I think will be really pretty. And I'm making the Sunbeam shade, I'm applying more than what I normally would because I want it to be a little bit more bold, I guess is the best way to put it. I think that looks really pretty though. I need to clean it up a little bit though. I'm gonna grab this, the clean BK Beauty 203. I'm gonna go over the edge on this side and on this side just to clean it up just a tad. Okay, so pretty much this is the final look. What do you think? I think it's super pretty. And I really like this palette. For $38, I don't think it's bad. The color story is gorgeous. It's very, very unique. I'm super happy to have it in my collection. As I said, I think they're aiming for a June restock on this, but you know, and they're then wishing there were a couple of more dark mattes and that there was another shade for inner corner highlight. This is a great palette. And I mean, even without those things, it's still a great palette. It's just, those are the things that are lacking for me. So if you're interested in trying it out, I've been really impressed with Menagerie's formula. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below what your favorite look is from these three looks. And I guess that's it. So we shall see y'all later. Bye.